It's time for your real fake news update, not brought to you by Pfizer. What we are witnessing right now in real time is the media colluding with this narrative that on one hand, they're recognizing that maybe there's people starving in Gaza. However, who is responsible for them starving? That's where we can have an honest debate, and we can talk about is it Hamas that's doing it, and Israel and the US are trying so hard, they're trying so desperately hard to get aid to the very people who they're murdering, that we're paying for, that Israel is annihilating, and they've been going at this genocide for month after month after month after month. And yet the media, if you turn on CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News, you're going to get these quote unquote debates, little roundtables, where they have to have this conversation to waste airtime, making you think that there's an honest discussion going on about how to interpret it. Because as you guys know, the Zionist attitude, the Zionist claim is that it's just so complicated. It's really complicated. And it's hard to fully understand, and don't listen to all the Hamas propaganda. Well, let's listen to a little roundtable, but it's actually more of a one-on-one that occurred on CNN with this, I guess you would say, TV personality. Her name is Brooke Goldstein. Let's see CNN let her loose and the pushback she gets on this roundtable show on CNN. This happened last night. Here we go.
Look, whether it happens or not, frankly, the truth is Israel should have never left Gaza, because before 2005, we did not have a terrorist state. We had a booming economy. We had equality for the sexes. We didn't have gays being thrown off rooftops. But when Israel dragged every last man, woman, and child out of Gaza and exhumed the dead bodies because they knew what Hamas would do with it, we had a terror state, and that's a big mistake, and the world is yet to admit that. And the real question is, why is the world preventing Gazans from leaving Gaza? Why are they insisting that they remain as human hostages for Hamas and as civilian human shields? And the third point really is, are they refugees or are they not refugees? Because if Gazans are Palestinian refugees, then Gaza is not their home, and they should be relocated so that they are not used by Hamas as human shields. If Gaza is their home, then the entire premise upon which the whole Israeli-Palestinian conflict is based, and the right of...
Okay, she's about to get some pushback, which is good, but just make no mistake, CNN is deliberately letting her on here. This isn't some we didn't know she was going to, run her mouth for minutes on end. No, that's the point. That's supposed to put inside your mind that there is this honest discussion happening. But no, of course, she should get pushback, and she will from this journalist. I guess we can call him a journalist in this regard. Let's see how that goes.
Return is false. The only people being deliberately starved in Gaza are the hostages right now. You look at Avitar David. He looks like a concentration camp survivor who was forced to dig his own grave. When the body of Eden Yerushalmi, after she was murdered, was returned, she was 70 pounds. Contrast that to the pictures, these, I'll say, artistic pictures of children, most of them with diseases.
Really, Brooke?
Yes, really.
I mean,
yes,
really,
really.
You're
Propaganda
saying,
pictures of these children. You never see pictures of adults. And famine is not selective, Peter. You can't have a child who's starving and then the mother is
Brooke, are we really,
overweight or the brother
Brooke,
is fully fed.
Brooke, the picture of Avitar David was horrifying. Are we really debating whether people are starving in Gaza?
No, we're debating who is responsible. No, but
because it sounds like you're saying that these are made-up pictures.
Who is responsible
for
any food shortages
Okay, so let's
in Gaza.
acknowledge that there are people starving in Gaza.
Is Hamas responsible?
Why don't you? I think you should let me finish.
The way that you let me finish last time.
So this is how it works, right? They throw out these little digs about the dishonest reporting and the propaganda about the fact that they're not even starving. Yet she's not saying they're not starving. So when he pushes back and says, just acknowledge they're starving, she's going to change the subject to, well, you have to acknowledge that that Hamas is the one that's causing the starving. So then why would you even start your thesis of that there's no starvation if you're going to end at the point of Hamas is causing it? But this is how you debate if you're not going for truth, but you're going for a win. And there's a difference. You guys understand that we've been in this psychology with Zionists. We've been debating them for the last 2 years. We've learned that they go in a different with a different intent than we go in. You go in, we go in with an intent to be I would say correct or accurate or right. And with that, you try to win an argument by being correct and right and accurate, all those things. The opposite of that, as a Zionist mindset, is you're going in just to win. That's it. Win. And winning does not involve at all the element of being right or being correct or being honest or being accurate. It's just winning. How do you do that? You do it like this. But this guy's going to continue pushing back at this. But just watch the maneuvering. She's not trying to be accurate. She's trying to win. There's a difference.
Does Hamas steal the food and use it as a food weapon?
You just spoke for a long time. Let me just say something.
Does Hamas steal food?
The Palestinians in Gaza are indeed refugees. It's true. They are the descendants, most of them, of families that were expelled from Israel in 1948. So if Gaza is not habitable for them, because Israel has destroyed most of the schools, most of the churches, most of the mosques, most of the bakeries, most of the agriculture, most of the universities, then they should be allowed to return to the places from which they're from, which is not Burundi or Somalia or Rwanda. It's Israel. Right? If you want to give them a place to go out of Gaza, allow them to go back to the places from which their families were expelled.
I think you have a problem with cause and effect. You like to blame Israel for everything. Israel did not destroy their hospitals, destroy their schools.
No.
Okay, now those are lies, and everybody knows they're lies. But it's just fun for her to say it. It's just fun to say lies because it sounds good and it may help you get to that winning destination.
Schools and the hospitals that I've been to have been used as places for rocket depots, and most of those hospitals are used as Hamas for their headquarters. Hamas is responsible when you have your headquarters under a hospital and you shoot rockets into a civilian
where is Israel's
population,
military headquarters located?
And you shoot.
I have a question. Where is Israel, the Kiryat? Where is Israel's military locators headquarters? Is it in a remote area?
Israel has military
answer the question.
everywhere.
Where is Israel?
Targets.
No.
Are they
Brooke, you didn't answer my question. Where is Israel's military? It is in downtown Tel Aviv. So let me say that.
They have a headquarters in Tel Aviv.
You got to let me finish. Israel's military headquarters is in downtown Tel Aviv. Right? Many of the apartment buildings in Tel Aviv house Israeli generals. Under international law, you don't have the right to destroy the schools around Military's military headquarters or to
Israel
destroy.
Does
no, let me
not
finish.
Shoot rockets from downtown Tel Aviv into civilian populations.
Israel has its military infrastructure deeply embedded within the civilian infrastructure as well. And in international law, it would be a war crime to destroy a hospital or an apartment building in Tel Aviv because an Israeli general is there. Similarly, it is a violation of international law to destroy a hospital or university or school in Gaza.
She's like smirking. She's smirking right there. Everybody knows that Israel has destroyed every single hospital and every single school in Gaza. Every one of them. And they use the complaint, they use this excuse that of using, Hamas is using civilians as human shields. So the hell what if they are? Which they're not, but if they are, that's not how you combat that. That's not how we handle hostage situations. It never has been. We would never blow up a school here on our own soil if terrorists were holding children hostage at a school right here in the States. We would never do that. Everyone knows that. So making this argument and her smirking, it makes no sense. But again, this whole thing is one big distraction. I'm saying like CNN's audience could very well be thinking the things that we're saying on the show, but they're still watching the show. They're still tuned into CNN because they think that this is an honest discussion and an honest debate. It's not an honest discussion. It's not an honest debate. This woman being on the show is designed to distract you about what we should be arguing about when we're not. That's not what we should be arguing about. Notice this entire 5 minutes have gone by and nobody's talking about that the U.S. is funding the genocide. That's what we should be talking about. We're writing the check. We're sending bombs. We're sending weapons. Everybody in Congress is voting for those weapons, including AOC. That's what we should be talking about, but it's not. How does this end? Let's see.
Just because you believe that there are
It is a
Hamas
violation of international law to use civilians as human shields. Can we agree on that?
Yes, and that
and
is,
do you
and
support
that, no,
the
and it is
temporary
also a violation.
relocation
It is,
of Gaza
no,
so that they're not
God forbid
used
I do
as
not.
human
I don't
so
want
you
Palestinians
think that
expelled
Gazans,
again. The Palestinians were expelled in 1948. You want to expel them again?
No,
that's a war crime,
that's
bro.
That's not what I said.
Hang on one sec. Hang on one sec.
Temporary. You think Israel's going to allow them back if they leave? Come on.
All right. I want to bring others into this discussion. If you want to be.
Okay. So again, this is all by design, make you think that this is the argument when it's not. That's not the discussion we should be having right now. But let's look just at who this person is real quick. If you go to her Twitter, this is Brooke Goldstein. She's got a book coming out on Amazon. You can pre-order it right now. It's called End Jew Hatred, which, wow, I mean, that seems to be, if there's a topic that we really need to be concerned about right now, it's Jew hatred. Let me guess what's not in that book, as far as if it's a manual for ending Jew hatred, like it says, a manual for mobilization. So it's not, I don't even know what she means by mobilization. Does it mean F you, if you hate Jews, we're going to make you hate them more? What is mobilization? Do you have in the manual, do you have something about how we stop Jew hatred? Any critique of Israel's war crimes and crimes against humanity, which might get people concerned and people pissed off? Probably not. I can, it's safe to say there's no discussion in that book about why people are angry right now at Israel. And to be clear, it's not at Jews, it's at Israel. She knows that, but she doesn't care. She's trying to make money off of that. So just watch out for this person, Brooke Goldstein. And again, one more time, if it hasn't been made clear to you yet, CNN is complicit in all of this. By putting Brooke Goldstein on their panel, they intentionally sign up for this distraction. It's a manufactured distraction. That's what it is. Here's what is really going on. Al Jazeera will tell you this. Israel forces continue their attacks across Gaza, killing dozens of Palestinians. As Gaza's government media office says, Israel is deliberately blocking more than 22,000 aid trucks from entering the enclave. Well, that's interesting. Why wouldn't that be the first thing that CNN talks about last night during that discussion? No, it's not. Israel kills 74 in Gaza. These are 24/7 updates. So this is an update from last night. This was coming out on Al Jazeera while CNN was having that fake ass discussion. This is a high rate. UN is warning of high rates of child death. So CNN's not going to tell you that part. They're not going to tell you that part. What they're going to do is cut to an interview with Netanyahu the next time he does one. And you can be assured Netanyahu will be coming on ABC. He'll be coming on CNN. He'll be coming on Fox as soon as his schedule lines up, because that's what he does. In the meantime, we're seeing videos from Netanyahu put out like this one, where he's flat out lying, as he does over and over again. Here's Netanyahu, the latest lie from what some still call him Bibi. We call him Satan Yahu. Here he is.
In the Middle Ages, all the massacres against Jews were preceded by horrible vilifications. The lies that were leveled against the Jews spread around the globe. We were poisoning the wells. We were carriers of disease. We slaughtered Christian children in order to drink their blood. And this spread from country to country and created massacre after massacre, culminating in the worst massacre of them all, the Holocaust, in which 6 million innocent Jews were led to the slaughter. Today, the Jewish state is facing similar vilifications. They lie about us. They say that we're deliberately starving Palestinian children. That's a barefaced lie. Since the beginning of the war, we have let in almost 2 million tons of food. 2 million tons of food for Palestinian civilians, Palestinian children. That's been our policy.
Letting in the food and then hoarding the food and destroying the food. That's been your policy. And you get shots of the food, which we just saw. That's deliberate. It's all theater. So you can look in the camera and tell us that you're sending in aid just to destroy the aid and pretend that Hamas is keeping it from the people. That is the most devious, most nefariously horrible shit you could do. Literally putting money, effort, and time into bringing food to a particular area that nobody can get to, and then you destroy that food. Before you destroy it, you do a shot of it, a moving shot, and you put that up on a video and you show people that, no, we're trying to get them food. No, you're not. You're blocking it at every turn. You're blocking it at every turn. But no, go ahead. Keep telling us how great you are and how the problem is that people just hate Jews. That's the problem. And you just keep getting vilified for no reason.
But in the last few months, this humanitarian aid has been interdicted by Hamas looting. They steal the food from their own people.
No, they don't. That is a lie. You're hoarding the food, you sick son of a bitch. You're hoarding the food.
But in the last few months, that food has not been reaching the Palestinian civilians because Hamas is stealing it. So we've decided to go around it. I've authorized the Israeli Air Force to airdrop humanitarian food and medical supplies to Palestinian civilians. We invited other countries to join these airdrops, and many have.
So again, more staged theater to make it look like you're trying to help. Why would you be trying to help when everybody in Israel will tell you that you want to starve the people to death? They want them to die. Why would you want what? It doesn't actually make any sense. Why can't you just be honest? Why can't you just be honest and tell us that you're trying to get rid of Hamas and babies will grow up and be Hamas? You got to stop them from doing that. That's what they're very honest in Israel. But you get on and do this deflection, this Western narrative to pretend to the Western audience that you're doing something about it. When everybody back home, I'll say home in quotations, Satan Yahoo, they think that you're being weak and soft when you do these things. But you got to tell them, oh, no, I'm doing that to appease the audience of the West. And then they think, because CNN will tell us that Israelis don't know what's going on. They've been censored with this information. They don't know that people are dying right a mile from their house that they stole, by the way. They don't know. No, they don't. They know very well. Israelis know very well what's happening, and they think overwhelmingly that Netanyahu is being way too soft here. But again, he's being soft because it's part of the political maneuvering game. Have to be soft. Have to get these aerial images. These images of food that's not getting to the place it needs to get. You know how we know? Because every time there's an aid rescue mission, a flotilla mission, you ransack that, you hijack it. You just hijacked Chris Smalls and took him into custody and beat him and tortured him before you released him, who was on a flotilla trying to bring aid. So don't tell us that you're giving the order, Netanyahu. You're sending aid in to the very people you're trying to wipe out. It actually doesn't make any sense. And I think that's why a lot of the public in Israel are confused by your softness. They're confused by your softness. So what's the next thing that happened? Well, we found this out from Max Blumenthal, that the Israeli embassy has now paid for these ads to run in Times Square. So if you're in New York right now and you look up at the at the main intersection, right where they have all the running electronic billboards, if you look right up, you're going to see this up in your face. which is to send the message that Israel and the U.S. are the good guys and Hamas are the bad guys. Ignored by the media, too busy echoing Hamas propaganda. All of that are lies. That's not anything. And again, this is paid for by the Israeli embassy. The Israeli embassy pays to put words on a screen, whatever they want to put on that screen. So this, in its sense, is the propaganda telling you not to listen to other propaganda. But make no mistake, it's CNN the whole time that's been in on this, making you think there's some sort of debate going on when their job is to distract you from the fact that we have been funding this the whole time. We have. So it's not whether or not they're starving or not, whether or not Hamas is blocking aid or not. Those are open and shut cases. Those are not up for debate. But again, their job is to pretend that that's the debate we need to be having. And that's a distraction on purpose. So the Al Jazeera report is accurate. Israel stealing food, that's accurate. We get videos like this sent to us all the time. This is just one example of Israel being complicit in what we already reported to you guys. They hoard the food. This is them hoarding it and destroying it right in front of our faces.
אנחנו במחסום תרקומיה. תראו, חבר'ה פה לא מפחדים, בחורות, בחורים. איזה יופי. עושים את המשאיות של החמאס. מקסימה. איזה יופי.
There you go. There you go. So that's what they've been doing. And when you have any pushback, like we saw, and we reported on this last week, guys, we didn't have the correct name because we just didn't have the name of the guy, but he was a U.S. soldier, a Gaza whistleblower who's been there to see it for himself, an actual U.S. soldier, former soldier in Gaza. His name is Anthony Aguilera. And he has been on several shows now, from Tucker to Crystal and Sagar to Democracy Now. He's been making the rounds, telling his story of what he witnessed. And we featured one of his stories last week where he talked about a boy that he gave aid to who said thank you in English and then was moments later, murdered on purpose by the IDF, who he witnessed. So he witnessed this boy's death in real time. This is just one more example of one of the things he's whistleblowing. But the reason why this is important, and it's part of the real fake news, is you can guarantee, rest assured, that there is a campaign that was launched against Anthony Aguilera. And we're going to this is just one of his explanations about creative ways he was able to try and get food in there. And one idea came up was ordering pizzas, because if you pretend to order pizzas for the IDF, they might actually get those pizzas in to Gaza, where they are not letting any other aid in. So here's him explaining that.
Make 27 pizzas. And so we had the idea of calling Domino's Pizza in Beersheba and having them make 27 pizzas and deliver them through Volt, which is the Israeli DoorDash, to the main operations center in Karim Shalom. We then took those 27 pizzas in an armored convoy and drove them to Secure Distribution Site 1 and gave those pizzas to the Palestinian local workers.
So let me get this straight. Safe Reach Solutions was able to bring Domino's Pizza in when the entire population of Gaza is starving and there are aid trucks, UN aid trucks, that are unable to enter Gaza and not allowed to distribute aid while people are starving. but SRS was able to bring in Domino's Pizza to one of their sites.
Correct. And it's abhorrent. If it weren't so tragic, it would be comedy.
If it weren't so tragic, it would be comedy. You want to see what happened to this guy since he made his rounds? Here's what's happened. And this is the same money, the same funding to buying billboards, buying our congressmen, putting legislation in motion like the Stop Hate Act, pushing Trump to do, we're going to get to that story later, cutting FEMA aid off for any institution, any state, any city that is actively boycotting Israel. So all of that funding also goes into smearing people like this whistleblower, Anthony Aguilar. Here is the smear that happened to him. This made its rounds with all the Zionist community on Twitter and other platforms, trying to pretend that, oh, look at this, assault on a female. There it is. Well, now he's discredited. Look what they found up on him. So they found something in his past, and now they got him. So nothing he said is truthful anymore because he has this on his record. So that does it. Don't listen to what Anthony Aguilar has to say anymore. Oh, wait a minute. Did they actually find this? Apparently, no, they didn't find it. They couldn't find anything on him, so they had to make it up. It's no joke. They made this up. Here is Mel, who did some work on this, did some of her own investigative reporting on it, did your own research. Did you there, Mel? Just took a trip down to my county courthouse to check out this supposed arrest record for myself. I knew something wasn't right for a multitude of reasons. One, the zip code on that address is a Fort Bragg zip code and not a Sanford one. Oh, interesting. Let's take that look. Sanford, not Fort Bragg. Interesting. So they got the wrong city. What else, Mel? Number two, Duke Lane doesn't exist. How funny. Maybe it's a typo. Well, why would there be a typo in an actual record that would be pulled up by the police? Why would there be why would they just make up the name of a street that didn't exist? That's weird. Okay, number three, arrest notices use the full docket number. The one in that picture is missing the last three numbers. Oh, there it is. There's apparently after the 702 on docket number, there are three numbers missing. So good work on that. Again, this is just one example of the amount of effort, time, money, and just all around that is put into smearing whistleblowers and pushing propaganda because, like we said earlier, the number one objective of the Zionist argument is to win. It's not to be right. It's to win. And if you can make your own rules about how to win, then you can do that. And this is one way to do that, is to literally make up an arrest record on a guy so you won't listen to him, even if that arrest record was true. Isn't that interesting that that's enough? They think that's enough to say his story about the pizzas, his story about the boy being shot, that's all of a sudden not true because you have an arrest record? Interesting, right? That according to them, that should be enough. But they had to make that part up too, on top of it, thinking that that's going to discredit the story. Rather than trying to actually figure out if the story is wrong, which it's not, you can't challenge a story, so you got to challenge the messenger. It's called kill the messenger. It's what you do when you can't challenge the thing that the messenger is telling you. You challenge the messenger, and then you find something about that person. If you can't find something, you make something up. This is how you win. So you guys also heard that Trump, and then this is part of the spin that we saw over the last couple weeks. Trump admitting that there is starvation in Gaza. There is starvation. Oh, it's sad. It's sad. Will he call it a genocide? Hell no, he won't call it a genocide. Well, let's hear what he says when asked about it and what you're going to do about the people starving.
More of an update to give us on Gaza, on the Gaza Strip. Can you give us any?
Only we want the people fed. And we're the only country that's really doing that. We're putting up money to get the people fed. And Steve Witkoff is doing a great job. And we want Israel to get them fed. We're giving some pretty big contributions, basically to purchase food so the people can be fed. We don't want people going hungry, and we don't want people to starve. And there's some bad things happening.
Do you see evidence of a genocide in Gaza?
I don't think it's sad. Look, they're in a war. Some horrible things happened on October 7th, as you know. It was a horrible, horrible thing. One of the worst I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of bad things since I'm president in terms of wars and potential wars. I mean, if you look at the one that we just stopped, there are thousands of people being dead already at the border between Thailand and Cambodia. Thousands of people. And I mean, I've seen some bad things, but that October 7th was with Hamas was really, really bad.
So, Trump, let's get them fed, right? Let's get them fed. How is that going? Oh, look, Trump's new aide just arrived, ready to give them. What aid did you send, Trump? What aid? Oh no.
הולך ליפול בקרוב מאוד, היום, מחר, על עזה. כל זה.
Oh no. Do you think maybe there's food inside the bombs? Maybe that's what he meant. Maybe the bombs is the way to get it directly to them, so you could just kind of shoot the bombs, and then when they explode, all the aid pops out like a piñata. Like a piñata. That's that might be what it. That's it. I don't want to. I don't want to judge. I don't want to judge. That's probably what it is. There's innovative ways you can do that these days. Get from point A to point B. What's the quickest way? Probably a missile. That's the quickest way to get from point A to point B. There's no quicker way, right? A missile. So put the aid in the missile. So then when you shoot the missile, the aid will pop out and everybody will be fed like a piñata. Although actually everybody will probably turn into a piñata or the aftermath of a piñata. But hey, at least you got the aid there. With that, historical context matters too, guys. I wanted to throw this in too before we end the real fake news. It's a big one for you guys today, but this one's important. Did you know, according to Dr. Simon Goddick, who's been on point on this genocide from the beginning, we appreciate you, doctor. Did you know that in 2021, the UN wanted to recognize food as a human right? Only 2 countries opposed it. Spoiler alert. Now you guys know it's 2. It's not just because he wrote it there. No, we know what 2 opposed it. It was the US and Israel. Of course it was. And there you go. This was a right. Make food a right. This was the vote. This was a real vote that happened. And there's your 2 countries, 1 and 2, who said no. There were 5 who didn't vote, but only 2 that said no. 186 countries said yes. Those are the ones in green. And there you go. This is, again, what the media won't tell you. They're not going to report on that part. They're not going to give you historical context at all. Here's what they will give you. And I got to bring it back to CNN, guys. I got to show you that woman is not a fluke. The one you saw earlier. She's not a fluke. This is the type of conversations they have all the time. And I'm still supposed to believe that CNN is the neutral channel. There's nothing neutral about this garbage.
Things with their own eyes. And what they're seeing is massive amounts of propaganda. Look what the New York Times had to admit to just in the last few days. I've heard
What did the New York Times? They admitted
running a photo that was a complete and total hoax.
They admitted that they ran a photo of a starving child who also had a disease.
You're gonna defend this?
Is that the admission?
It's
Scott,
a
you're
hoax.
going to act like people
and
aren't
it was
starving?
sent around the world to make people
Scott,
think that Israel had starved that child. He had a pre-existing condition.
What about all the other children in that story? What about them? Are they a hoax?
Abby, Abby,
Okay?
there
Don't-
is a
don't
coordinated
do that,
propaganda
Scott.
campaign
Don't do
right
that,
now
Scott.
to paint
Are all
a
of those
distorted
other-
picture of what's happening.
Are all of those other children a hoax?
Some of them are. There have been other stories
all
about
of those
children
other
that
children a
Israel's
hoax?
actually paying
There
to
have been
have taken care of for their pre-existing
There have been 25
conditions.
people who died of starvation.
And on top of
Scott,
that,
hang on a second. You just claimed that this whole thing
they
was
ran a
hoax.
correction. They ran a correction.
What you claimed was that all of these young people, not just young people, but everybody in the world, the photos that they're seeing, the stories that they're reading, the first-person accounts are a hoax? Are they a hoax?
I'm saying that the photo that the New York Times ran and then ran a correction on is a part of a propaganda campaign that is occurring right now.
I do not agree with you on the New York Times photo, but let's say that one was wrong. They ran a correction. Fine. What about all of the other children?
Sure.
What about all of the other
What about
people?
all of the other
So
hoaxes?
when you
I've
say
heard
that this
people
is a
say-
hoax, Scott,
Wait.
no, Scott, I'm putting a stop to the talking points. Okay, that's what I'm doing here.
Are you?
Because I'm talking about human beings.
When are we going to put a stop to the propaganda?
Listen, we've said it before on this show. We are talking about real things here, not talking points. Leave the talking points at the door.
Can I?
So again, if it needs to be said one more time, Scott Jennings is a regular CNN contributor. He's on the show all the time. He is he's a staple in CNN. This conversation is by design supposed to distract you. And while she sticks it to him, it's taking up airtime and taking up your brain power if you're watching this crap to make you think that this is a legitimate debate. It is not a legitimate debate. Period. And we wonder if Trump regrets signing up for a second term with this garbage going on this time. This wasn't as bad. I don't know if say it wasn't as bad the first time around, but you didn't have these massive warmongering operations going on all over the world. They were going on, but not at this level, not at this public awareness level. Not just Ukraine, clearly all over the Middle East, what Israel is doing right now, that we're funding every bit of it, not just in Gaza, not just Palestine. We're talking about Lebanon. We're talking about Yemen. We're talking about Syria, taking over Syria in 11 days. We're talking about pushing Iran into a nuclear war, not to mention China, and not to mention the ongoing proxy war in Ukraine against Russia. And then with Palantir now being at the forefront of the money being spent in this big, beautiful bill will be going to Palantir to continue the destruction and the military occupation and annihilation and this three-pronged war that Alex Karp talks about. Does he regret signing up for this right now? Well, we saw this last shot here. This just came out right before we went live, and I wanted you guys to see this because this kind of just says it all. Here's Trump going on top of the White House for some odd reason, taking a look. I guess he's taking a look around. Very, very odd, and reporters caught him. Here he is.
President, what are you doing up there?
Come down and talk to us.
What are you building?
Are you considering more renovations, sir?
Are you going to build up
Hi,
there?
sir.
Clearly off script, clearly not planned. His people are up there trying to get him to come down. I watched this and I thought, you know what? Kind of reminds me of Nixon. I don't know if you guys know the old story about Nixon, and we'll end the segment with this, but Nixon, there was a story that he snuck out in the middle of the night to go to the Lincoln Memorial, this during the Vietnam War. And Nixon went to the Vietnam Memorial to kind of be away from all of because he's in this bubble. He's got all these security around him. He went into office to end the Vietnam War. That's what he ran on. Very similar to Trump running on ending the Ukraine war. Nixon said, I will end this. He basically he was the original 24-hour president. I will end this right away. I don't think he said 24 hours, but he said, you elect me, we will end the Vietnam War. He realized he couldn't. He can't do it. He was having panic attacks about it because he didn't have the power he thought he was going to have. He was obsessed with power. He finally got the power. He couldn't do anything. He goes out to the Lincoln Memorial, and then there's these protesters there that are sleeping there overnight. They're just there. The anti-war group, which they were Democrats. We don't have any of those now. We don't have real protesters. Well, there are some, I have to say, obviously Palestine protesters, but really protesting the entire system, all of the wars, not just Palestine, but Ukraine, all of them. We don't really have a group that is against all of them, just maybe the one that benefits them. But with that said, he snuck out to kind of get a look and get away from it for just a moment. And then he was caught. The reporters found him. The security staff found him, and they said, we have to go back in. And the legend goes that one of the protesters said to Nixon before his security, his Secret Service let him back into the White House. They asked this one young girl asks him, Mr. President, why don't you just end it? And he says, I can't. And they say, come here with us, Mr. President. We got to get you back inside. So that's an old legend, an old tale. We're not sure if it's true or not. But this shot of Trump on the ledge here kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Maybe there's nothing to it. Maybe it was a little publicity stunt. And maybe the thing with Nixon never really happened either. But there is something to be said about a president in over his head, not able to do anything that they campaigned on. And we're just wondering, do you feel bad about it, or do you understand that there is something tragic about that? There's something tragic about putting your entire effort, your entire career, everything, blood, sweat, and tears into winning the office of the president of the United States. And at the end of the day, you get there, you can't actually do anything, even if you wanted to. It's a sad reality. And here we are, Trump on the roof of the White House, saying, just trying to take a look around. I'm just trying to take a look around. There it is. And again, the media is not going to report on this accurately. They were laughing. They were laughing at asking him those questions. I don't think it's funny. I think it's kind of sad. Okay, that is your real fake news update, not brought to you by Pfizer. Okay, let me take a moment to introduce you to our good friends over at World Harvest Food Bank right here in LA. World Harvest has been serving families across Los Angeles for 18 years now, and they started with this simple idea. Everyone deserves access to healthy, affordable food no matter what they're going through. With their Cart with a Heart program, families can walk away with a full cart of groceries, fresh produce, dairy, meat, and pantry supplies for just a $50 contribution. That's for the entire cart. That same cart would cost over $300 at a typical grocery store. At World Harvest, everyone is welcome. They don't ask for income verification, ID, or any paperwork. No. Basically, their doors are open to anyone who's doing their best, but just needs a little extra push to get by. If you're an Angelino like me, you know the times have been tough here. First with all the union strikes, the LA fires, and now the ICE raids going on. It seems like we're living in a constant state of uncertainty. And that's why it's so important to support local charities like World Harvest, because they aren't just helping the community. They're an essential function in its very survival. World Harvest is located at Venice and Arlington. And right now, you can use our special discount code THL20 for 20% off your contribution amount at checkout. And if you're not in the LA area, you can still help out with a $50 donation, which will provide a full cart of food for a family by going to worldharvestfoodbank.org or scan the QR code for more info. Or you can just spread the word. Follow them online. Let people know they're here for them, because at the end of the day, it's about providing choice, access, and relief without barriers. World Harvest Food Bank. End hunger now.